I was just finishing my business dinner at Lumiere San Francisco's most exclusive restaurant when I spotted her across the room. Amanda, my ex-wife, draped in designer clothing I could now easily afford but chose not to waste money on. She was arm in arm with a man in an overpriced suit, laughing that familiar laugh. When our eyes met, her smile faltered. She approached my table, scanning my casual attire with judgment. "Christopher, wow. What are you doing here?" she asked before introducing her husband as a financial elite. I smiled genuinely. "I would love to see your poor, low-level workplace sometime," she sneered. "Actually," I replied, "how about tomorrow at 10? Before I tell you what happened next, let me know where you are watching from in the comments. Hit that like and subscribe button if you have ever had someone underestimate you." My story begins far from the wealth and success I enjoy today. I grew up in Seattle with hardworking middle-class parents. My father taught high school mathematics, and my mother worked nights as an emergency room nurse. They instilled in me the values of education, perseverance, and treating people with dignity regardless of their status. These lessons would prove invaluable later, though I had no idea how much I would need them. I put myself through Washington State University, studying computer engineering by working night shifts at a local data center. The hours were brutal, but I was learning practical skills that complemented my theoretical education. My dream was always to create something meaningful, not just to become wealthy. I wanted to build technology that would actually protect people in our increasingly digital world. It was at my roommate Tyler's graduation party where I first met Amanda. She stood out immediately, confident, sophisticated, and captivating. Her dark hair fell in perfect waves past her shoulders, and she spoke with the easy assurance of someone who had never worried about money. When she laughed at my awkward jokes, I felt an immediate connection. "So what do you do?" she asked, twirling her champagne glass between manicured fingers. "I am studying computer engineering, but what I really want is to launch my own security software company," I answered honestly. Instead of the dismissive response I expected, she leaned forward, genuinely interested. "Tell me more." Amanda came from significant privilege. Her father, Richard, was an executive at First National Bank, and she had attended only the most exclusive private schools before studying art history at Stanford. Her entire life had been sheltered within wealth and social connections. Yet somehow in those early days, she seemed to appreciate my drive and ambition. Our courtship moved quickly. Despite our different backgrounds, we connected over shared interests in independent films, hiking through Washington's beautiful forests, and long conversations about how technology was changing society. I fell deeply, completely in love with her. "I believe in you, Christopher," she would tell me during our first year together. "You are going to change the world someday." Those words meant everything to me. My previous relationships had ended because of my intense focus on my studies and work, but Amanda seemed to understand my passion. When I proposed 6 months after meeting her, I could only afford a modest ring, but she accepted with tears of joy. Our wedding was simple. By necessity, we married in a local park with wildflowers decorating the wooden gazebo. I noticed the tight smiles of her parents as they surveyed the modest venue, clearly disappointed their daughter had not opted for the lavish country club ceremony they had offered to fund. Amanda squeezed my hand throughout the day, assuring me this was what she wanted. The first 2 years of our marriage were spent in a small one-bedroom apartment near the university. I worked tirelessly on my first startup idea, a healthcare data management application that would help hospitals protect patient information. Amanda initially adjusted to our financial limitations, with Grace decorating our tiny space with flea market finds she cleverly refurbished. "It is just temporary," she would say. "We are building something together." I experienced my first small success when my healthcare application won a Regional Tech Innovation Award. A few small investors expressed interest, and I finally felt my dreams gaining traction. Amanda celebrated with me that night, and I believed we were truly partners in every sense. As months passed, however, subtle changes emerged in her attitude. Her college friends, most from wealthy families who had walked into high-paying jobs through connections, began featuring more prominently in her life. She would return from lunches with them quieter, more withdrawn. "Julia and Mark just bought a house in Queen Anne," she mentioned casually one evening, "and Heather's husband took her to Paris for their anniversary. We will get there, I promised. Just give me time." She nodded, but her smile did not reach her eyes. When my business faced inevitable early challenges, Amanda grew increasingly distant. Our conversations became perfunctory, focused on schedules and bills rather than dreams and plans. The first serious fracture occurred when I discovered she had spent our emergency fund money we had painfully saved over months on designer clothing. I needed to look presentable at the gallery opening. She defended herself. "You do not understand how important appearances are in my world." "Your world?" I asked, hurt by the implication that we no longer shared one. Despite these growing tensions, I remained committed to both my marriage and my business. I believed with enough success I could bridge the widening gap between us. I worked harder, slept less, and pushed myself beyond reasonable limits. I still believed we could find our way back to those early days of mutual support and shared dreams. I was wrong. The real breaking point came when my startup faced its most critical moment. After months of pitching to venture capitalists, I had finally secured a meeting with West Coast Innovations, a major investor who could provide the capital we desperately needed. The night before the presentation, I stayed late at our small office refining every detail of my pitch deck. When I finally arrived home past midnight, exhausted but hopeful, I was shocked to find our apartment filled with people. Amanda had spontaneously decided to host a lavish party for her art world connections. The living room that had served as my workspace was now crowded with fashionably dressed strangers, sipping expensive champagne that we absolutely could not afford. "Where have you been?" Amanda asked, not bothering to lower her voice as she pulled me into the kitchen. "I told everyone my husband would be here hours ago." "I told you I had the investor meeting tomorrow," I reminded her. "This is the most important presentation of my career." She rolled her eyes. "You have been saying that for months now. Nothing ever comes of these important meetings." The pressure from her family increased steadily as well. During an excruciating dinner at her parents' waterfront home, her father Richard cleared his throat and said, "Christopher, I could get you a solid position in commercial lending at the bank. Benefits, retirement plan, company car, no more of this risky startup nonsense." Amanda nodded enthusiastically beside him. "Would not that be wonderful, honey? Security and stability." What hurt most was how she had begun introducing me at social gatherings. "This is my husband, Christopher. He is still figuring things out." The hesitation before the gentle euphemism cut deeper than outright criticism. One evening while paying bills, I discovered multiple credit cards. I knew nothing about, all maxed out with designer purchases and expensive restaurant charges. The combined debt threatened the little financial stability we had left. "How could you do this?" I asked, showing her the statements. "You expect me to live like a college student forever," she snapped. "I have a certain standard of living, Christopher. Despite my best efforts and 80-hour work weeks, my company faced the inevitable 18 months later. Our main product had been beaten to market by a larger competitor with more resources. Our funding dried up and I had to lay off the small team that had become like family. The day I shut down the office was one of the most devastating of my life." Amanda's response was not sympathy but cold disappointment. "I knew this would happen," she said when I told her the news. "This is why you should have taken my father's offer." We began living separate lives under one roof. She spent more time with her wealthy friends, coming home late, or not at all. I threw myself into freelance programming work, trying to rebuild our finances while developing a new business concept. On our third anniversary, I made a desperate attempt to reconnect. I cooked her favorite meal, bought flowers I could not afford, and even wore the expensive watch her parents had given me for Christmas that I usually kept in its box. I waited for hours, but she never came home. At 11 p.m., I called her cell phone repeatedly. When it went straight to voicemail, a sick feeling grew in my stomach. I checked her iPad for clues to her whereabouts and found hundreds of text messages with someone named James. The exchanges were intimate, romantic, and had been going on for over 6 months. When she finally returned home after midnight, I was sitting in the dark living room with her iPad on the coffee table between us. "Who is James?" I asked quietly. Her face showed not shame but relief. "My investment banker," she answered without hesitation. "And yes, we have been seeing each other. For 6 months." My voice cracked. "While I have been trying to save our marriage, I am tired of waiting for your success that never comes, Christopher." Her voice was cold, detached. "James can give me the life I deserve. The life you promised but never delivered." Those words haunted me through the brutal divorce proceedings that followed. Her lawyer was ruthless, taking what meager assets remained after my business failure. Amanda moved directly into James's luxury condominium in downtown Seattle. 2 weeks after our divorce was finalized, she posted photos of them on a yacht in the Mediterranean. I found myself sleeping on my friend Tyler's couch. My business destroyed, my reputation in tatters, and my heart completely broken. The lowest moment came one rainy night when I sat alone on a park bench, soaked to the skin, questioning every decision I had ever made. Was Amanda right? Had I been foolish to pursue my dreams? Should I have taken the safe corporate job her father offered? The weight of failure, professional and personal, crushed down on me until I could barely breathe. That night, I hit absolute rock bottom. I had lost everything I thought mattered: my marriage, my company, my home, my confidence. I felt utterly betrayed and worthless. The future stretched before me as a bleak and lonely road. The next morning, something changed. I woke up on Tyler's lumpy couch, with a strange sense of clarity. With everything stripped away, I could finally see the truth. I had been trying to build a life to impress Amanda, rather than creating one true to myself. "I am worried about you, Tyler," said, handing me coffee. "Maybe it is time to try something else." "No," I replied with sudden certainty. I was on the right track, just with the wrong priorities and the wrong partner. That afternoon, through Tyler's connection, I met with Dr. Stephen Garcia, a retired tech innovator who had pioneered early encryption protocols. I expected a brief courtesy meeting, but we ended up talking for 5 hours straight about my ideas for a new security platform. "Your approach to quantum-resistant encryption is intriguing," Dr. Garcia said, studying my rough diagrams. "But your business model needs work. You are thinking too small." His criticism was harsh, but exactly what I needed. Unlike Amanda's dismissiveness, Dr. Garcia's critiques came with practical suggestions, and more importantly, belief in my fundamental vision. "I will mentor you," he said finally, "but I do not accept excuses or self-pity. The divorce and failure, that is all in the past now." Understood. Under Dr. Garcia's guidance, I refined my concept for a data security platform that addressed vulnerabilities other companies were ignoring. We identified a critical gap in the enterprise market, where existing solutions were cumbersome and outdated. Tyler offered his garage as our workspace, and I recruited 2 brilliant developers who had lost their jobs in recent tech layoffs. We could not afford to pay them much, but I offered generous equity stakes. Together, we worked 18-hour days, subsisting on ramen noodles and determination. Our first major breakthrough came 6 months in, when we solved an encryption challenge that much larger security companies had declared technically unfeasible. Dr. Garcia leveraged his connections to arrange a meeting with Marin Ventures, and we secured a modest seed investment of $500,000. "This is just the beginning," Dr. Garcia assured me. "But now you have to prove the technology works at scale." The following years were the most challenging and rewarding of my life. We faced constant setbacks, technical problems, market resistance, competitors trying to undermine us. There were nights I slept under my desk, weeks when I forgot to eat regular meals, and countless moments of doubt. But gradually, Titan Shield began to gain traction. Our first major client was a government security contract that other companies had deemed too complex to fulfill. When we delivered a working solution 3 weeks ahead of deadline, word spread quickly through the industry. As the company grew, we moved from Tyler's garage to a small office, then to an entire floor in a downtown building. I assembled a team of the brightest minds in security technology, creating a company culture based on innovation, respect, and work-life balance lessons learned from my own painful experiences. During these years of rebuilding, I also focused on personal growth. Weekly therapy sessions helped me understand the dysfunctional patterns in my relationship with Amanda and rebuild my self-worth from the ground up. I cultivated genuine friendships, reconnected with my parents, and even began mentoring young entrepreneurs facing their own struggles. 5 years after that night in the rain, Titan Shield had become a billion-dollar security company with global clients including governments, healthcare systems, and financial institutions. Our technology protected sensitive data for over 200 million people worldwide. As CEO, I could afford any luxury, but I maintained a relatively modest lifestyle, finding more satisfaction in our humanitarian initiatives than personal indulgences. The evening I ran into Amanda at Lumiere, I had been meeting with potential partners for our newest security protocol. I did not frequent such exclusive establishments, but my clients often selected them. I was dressed in my usual attire quality but understated clothing that prioritized comfort over status. When Amanda approached my table, I barely recognized her at first. Everything about her appearance was polished to perfection, from her expertly highlighted hair to her obviously expensive cosmetic enhancements. The man beside her, James, exuded the artificial confidence of someone who measures his worth by his possessions. "Christopher," she said, genuine surprise in her voice. "What are you doing here? This place is impossible to get into." "Just a business meeting," I replied honestly. "How have you been, Amanda?" "Wonderful." She beamed, squeezing James's arm. "This is my husband, James Harrington. He is Senior Vice President at Wellington Capital." James looked me over with barely concealed disdain. "And what do you do these days, Christopher?" "I work in tech security," I answered simply. James chuckled. "Entry-level coding. The industry is saturated with youngsters willing to work for nothing these days." Amanda jumped in, clearly embarrassed by what she assumed was my continued struggle. "My husband is part of the financial elite now. I would love to see your poor, low-level workplace sometime. Just for old time's sake." I felt no anger, no desire for revenge, only a strange sense of peace. "Actually, I would be happy to show you where I work. Tomorrow at 10. The next morning, rather than sending my personal Bentley, I arranged for a modest company car to pick them up. The driver reported that they seemed confused when they pulled up to one of the most prestigious addresses in the financial district, a gleaming 60-story tower with cutting-edge architecture. I watched through the lobby security feed as they entered, Amanda clutching her designer handbag nervously as they approached the reception desk. "We are here to see Christopher," she told the receptionist. "Mr. Wright is expecting you," the receptionist replied using my full name. "Edward will escort you to the executive floor." The security head greeted me respectfully as I met them by the elevator. "Good morning, sir." "Thank you, Edward. These are my guests for the day." As the elevator climbed to the top floor, I could sense Amanda and James exchanging glances, trying to process what was happening. The doors opened to reveal our executive suite, where my assistant immediately approached. "Mr. Wright, your 9:30 with Tokyo had to reschedule. And Miss Santiago from the Foundation needs your input on the education initiative when you have a moment." "Thank you, Jessica." The moment of truth came when my CFO hurried toward us holding documents. "Christopher, I need your signature on the Meridian acquisition paperwork. The board is unanimously in favor of your proposal." "Acquisition," James stammered. "Yes," my CFO continued, not registering his confusion. "Once the CEO signs off, we can proceed with the $300 million integration plan." Amanda's face drained of color as realization dawned. "You are the CEO of this entire company." James suddenly recognized our logo on the wall behind the reception desk. "Titan Shield, I just read about you in Forbes. You are on the cover this month." For the first time since I had known her, Amanda was completely speechless. Despite the obvious tension, I maintained my composure and offered them the full tour of our facilities. "We have 2,700 employees globally now," I explained as we walked through the development floor where teams of engineers worked in collaborative spaces. Amanda stayed unusually close to me during the tour, her hand occasionally brushing against my arm. "The building is absolutely stunning, Christopher. You must be so proud." Her voice had taken on a honeyed quality I remembered from our early dating days. James, meanwhile, had shifted into networking mode. "My firm manages portfolios for several tech founders," he mentioned, pressing his business card into my hand. "We should discuss potential synergies." I showed them our innovation lab where researchers were developing next-generation security protocols, the employee recreation areas designed to foster creativity and well-being, and finally the foundation offices where we coordinated educational initiatives and humanitarian security projects. Last year, we provided free security infrastructure for 73 nonprofit organizations. Globally, I explained, unable to hide my passion for this aspect of our work. And we have established scholarship programs for underprivileged students interested in cybersecurity careers. As the tour concluded, Amanda touched my elbow. "Christopher, could we speak privately for a moment?" Her eyes flicked meaningfully toward James. For old time's sake, James shifted uncomfortably but nodded. "I will just wait in the lobby." In my office overlooking the bay, Amanda walked slowly around, examining the awards and recognition Titan Shield had accumulated. "This is all so impressive," she said, her voice soft. "I always knew you were smart, but this..." She gestured at the view. You really made it. The company's success goes beyond me, I said honestly. We have an incredible team. She moved closer, her perfume bringing back unwanted memories. Do you ever think about us, Christopher? About what might have been? Not really, I answered truthfully. Her expression faltered, then recovered. We had some good times, though. Did not we? Before things got complicated. Amanda, I said gently, why are you doing this? She dropped all pretense, her voice taking on a calculating edge. James's firm has been struggling since the recession, and honestly, our lifestyle has become... She hesitated, challenging to maintain. I see. She placed her hand on mine. I may have made a mistake, Christopher. I was young and impatient. I did not see your potential. I felt no triumph, no vindication in her transparent attempt to leverage our past. Instead, I felt genuine gratitude. The mistake was the best thing that ever happened to me, Amanda, I said, without malice. When you left, it forced me to rebuild on a stronger foundation personally and professionally. She blinked clearly, expecting either lingering bitterness or an eager reception to her advances. You are not angry with me. After everything I was for a long time, I admitted. But that anger only limited my own growth. I had to let it go to move forward. Her eyes narrowed slightly. So there is no chance of us reconnecting. Even as friends, I think we both know that would not be appropriate. I said, standing up to end our conversation. I have a leadership meeting starting soon. As we returned to the main floor, a woman with warm brown eyes and a genuine smile approached us. The education committee is ready when you are, she said to me, before turning to Amanda and James. Hello, I am Sophia Chen, director of the Titan Shield Foundation. Sophia is also my partner, I explained, returning her smile. The contrast between Sophia and Amanda could not have been more striking. Where Amanda calculated, Sophia connected. Her intelligence, compassion, and authenticity radiated in every interaction. Our final stop was the main boardroom where my executive team had gathered. We are finalizing a $10 million initiative to fund technology education in underserved communities, I explained, providing scholarships, equipment, and mentorship for the next generation of innovators. Amanda and James watched silently as my team engaged in passionate discussion about implementation details. They witnessed not just the trappings of success, but its true meaning, the respect of colleagues, the fulfillment of meaningful work, and the ability to create positive change. When it was time for them to leave, Amanda's smile seemed forced, her embarrassment, poorly concealed beneath a veneer of social grace. Thank you for the tour, she said stiffly. It was illuminating. James shook my hand with newfound respect. Impressive operation, he muttered. His earlier condescension completely evaporated. After they left, I felt no satisfaction in their discomfort or in proving them wrong. Instead, I felt a profound sense of peace. The journey that began with such pain had led to authentic purpose and genuine connection. That evening, Sophia and I had a simple dinner at our comfortable but unpretentious home. As we discussed plans for the foundation's expansion, I reflected on how different this relationship was built on mutual respect, shared values, and genuine support. You seem thoughtful tonight, Sophia observed. Everything okay? More than okay, I replied. I just realized something important today. True success is not measured by the people who rejected you, but by becoming the person you are proud to be. The next morning I met with Jamal, a brilliant young programmer from an underprivileged background whom I had been mentoring. His circumstances reminded me of my own struggles, and I found profound fulfillment in helping him navigate challenges similar to those I had faced. I do not know if my startup idea is good enough, he confessed during our meeting. The road ahead will be difficult, I told him honestly. But if you stay true to your vision and surround yourself with people who genuinely believe in you, not just what you can provide them, you will find your way. As I shared the lessons Dr. Garcia had once shared with me, I realized I had found something far more valuable than revenge or vindication. I had found purpose, and that made all the difference. What about you? Have you ever had someone from your past underestimate you? How did you respond? Let me know in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more stories of resilience and growth. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message today, share this video with them. Thank you for listening. And remember, sometimes the people who reject you are inadvertently setting you free.